So, Doctor, the other thing that we want to do is we want to show.
I want to get you into this news conference media availability right now in Volusia County, where Sheriff Mike Chitwood is talking about an arrest made in a case there. Let's go ahead and listen in.
Through really good eyewitnesses that tell us they see a male with his arm extended firing shots, and they show us where we're able to get really good video of the shooting. Our hero here, Travis Fowler, who's 25 years old, he is firing at people that are running away from him. The detectives then go back and they find a gas station on that same block. And in that gas station, Fowler is heard on video arguing with other folks over money. And then he uses his EBT card to make a purchase. So that is where we start to go with this. We then do a quick briefing research on him, and we discover that in April, he was stopped at the Sonny's Barbecue there at 92 and Woodland Avenue, and he had a black Taurus firearm with an extended clip on it, but there were really no charges on him other than a traffic investigation that was conducted. So based on all of those circumstances, they interview Travis, and he tells us the other day that, I don't know what you're talking about. I was in Orlando when that happened. And then they showed him the video. And then they
Florida Live starts now.
Hey, good afternoon to you. I'm Garrett Weimer. Thanks for joining us here on Florida Live on this Thursday afternoon, live on Fox Local, fox13news.com, fox35orlando.com, and also on YouTube. I want to let you know a little bit of what we have over this next hour together. We are going to talk with EA Sports about College Football 26, the big reveal trailer coming today. A lot of anticipation over the second installment of this new college football game. EA Sports, of course, based in Orlando, and we had the pleasure to speak with them about what to expect in this upcoming game. Sounds like some big improvements made in this year's edition coming out this summer. Coming up, we are also going to speak with an organization, part of a larger group that is working on a statewide drowning prevention plan. This is Florida would be the fourth state to kind of come up with these regulations that are really part of a nationwide effort to crack down on drowning deaths. We know Florida, year in and year out, has some of the highest drowning rates of anywhere in the country, and there is work being done to address that. So we're going to talk with one of the groups that is part of that coming up in just a little bit. In our Tampa Connection, we're going to talk with Nancy about a Bartow group home being shut down after a stabbing just a few days ago. We'll have those details coming up in just a little bit, but we begin our show with an update on a story in Volusia County where a man has been arrested accused of shooting a teenager in the head. It's a man from DeLand. He's 25 years old. He's accused of being in an argument with another group of people over money, firing shots, ending up hitting a 16-year-old who was inside a car with his family at the time. Sheriff Chitwood spoke to reporters earlier today talking about the situation, obviously a very serious situation with the suspect now facing multiple charges, including first-degree attempted murder.
On May 25th at 12:33 p.m., we have a family that is traveling down Woodland Avenue coming back from a graduation party. They hear a series of gunshots. Their 16-year-old son, who's in the back of the car, basically says, "I'm bleeding from my head." They pull over. They notice that her 16-year-old son has been shot in the head, and they call police. So us in the DeLand Police Department respond through really good eyewitnesses that tell us they see a male with his arm extended firing shots, and they show us where we're able to get really good video of the shooting. Our hero here, Travis Fowler, who's 25 years old, he is firing at people that are running away from him. The detectives then go back and they find a gas station on that same block. And in that gas station, Fowler is heard on video arguing with other folks over money. And then he uses his EBT card to make a purchase. So that is where we start to go with this. We then do a quick briefing research on him, and we discover that in April, he was stopped at the Sonny's Barbecue there at 92 and Woodland Avenue, and he had a black Taurus firearm with an extended clip on it, but there were really no charges on him other than a traffic investigation that was conducted. So based on all of those circumstances, they interview Travis, and he tells us the other day that, I don't know what you're talking about. I was in Orlando when that happened. And then they showed him the video. And then they showed him his EBT purchase card. And he's like, yeah, well, I lied. So he is being charged with first-degree attempted murder, 2 counts of aggravated assault with a firearm, and firing into an occupied vehicle. And what is so impressive in this is the legwork that the detectives put in. The fact that you had eyewitnesses who stayed on the scene and were able to point out exactly what happened, which led us to the car dealer where we got the video, to the gas station, which happened to have audio, where he's seen arguing with these guys. You know, he's dressed in the same clothing, uses EBT card to make a purchase. And thank God that the 16-year-old's not dead. You know, he's hospitalized. He has serious injuries, as you can imagine, taking a headshot, but he's alive. And obviously, you know, you got a 25-year-old who's got there's no conscience there. It's just, I'm in an argument over money, so just whip out the gun and just run down Woodland Avenue and just fire indiscriminately after people that are running away, and this is what happens. You know, a 16-year-old coming home from a graduation party with his parents almost lost his life. You know, and my hopes and prayers are that he makes a full recovery, because again, he got shot in the head. He's got a brain injury. So, you know, we're all thinking of him and we're praying for him, but I cannot thank the witnesses enough, and I cannot thank my detectives. The fact that they painstakingly went through everything. Now, right now, as I speak to you, we are in the process of searching his vehicle, and I'm my fingers crossed we recover the firearm. We did recover shell casings out there from the night of the scene, and I think we recovered shell casings last night when we served the search warrant on his home. So there's still a lot of forensic evidence in there. In the video, it looks like he does have a firearm in his pocket, and then obviously the other video in the gas station, and then the other video clearly, you know, when you put the videos together, it's him coming out of the store firing at the guys as they're running away from him. So, you know, I'm excited because it took us, 5 days after the shooting, working around the clock for my men and women to be able to bring this scumbag to justice, and that's what he is. There is no moral boundary there. He just has no anything about the sanctity of human life here, and he almost cost a 16-year-old his life for doing nothing other than coming home with his parents from a graduation party. He lives right outside of where the shooting occurred, so that you know, he lives in the 1700 block of North Woodland. He lives right there.
And any more arrests that you guys are expecting in all the other?
Based on that one video, it clearly is, it's only him. Based on the argument inside of the store over money, he's the one that takes this thing from an argument up to the fact of where he's going. I think it's interesting to have a 25-year-old an EBT card, but thank God he did, which helped us really get him identified. We didn't confiscate the gun because there were no charges. And remember, under Florida law, permitless carry, he's allowed to do that. And so even though it was a traffic stop, there was nothing there to seize that firearm. But it's interesting that he was arrested, or not arrested, here was a car stop half a block from his home, and he's got a 9mm Taurus with an extended clip out there. So there's still ballistic work that needs to be done. And like I said, I got my fingers crossed that when they execute the search warrant on that car later on today, that gun's inside that car. But either way, the video, I mean, we're pretty confident. The video shows the person who was in the store using that EBT card to make a purchase, and the person lives right there. The shooter lives right where the incident occurred, 1700 block in North Woodland Avenue.
Sheriff, in the last month, there have been several crimes involving firearms in the county. My question is, what do you attribute this rise to?
Lawlessness. That's what it comes down to, is lawlessness. When you look at some of the shootings that occurred, you know, the McCabe's incident, How that person's not dead, I don't know. He's not dead because the shooter in that case was a bad shot. But when you look at these shootings, they got a firearm and they have a grievance, and the way to settle that grievance is to reach for their gun and pardon the street term, light somebody up. Street cred is what it comes down to. But this is a case which shows to show you bullets don't have erasers on them. You know, did he intend to shoot the 16-year-old? No, he intended to shoot other people. But as a result of what he did, being so reckless and careless and not having a scintilla of humanity, he just opens fire in a crowded area. The bar across the street, OBs, there's a bar there with people inside of that bar, outside of that bar. But they don't think that way. 25 years old, he's been arrested a few times. Car breaks are his big thing. He was arrested for breaking the 10 vehicles back in 2019. And he was arrested for armed burglary, I think, in 2019 as well. But he's off of probation. I guess apparently he didn't have a felony conviction because we didn't seize his weapon.
Sheriff Chitwood earlier today. We're going to take a break here on Florida Live, but we'll be right back. Welcome back into Florida Live. I'm Garrett Weimer, and thanks for joining us on this Thursday afternoon, live on Fox Local and on YouTube. It is time now for our Tampa Connection, and for that, we go to Fox 13 digital content producer Nancy Gay. And Nancy, good afternoon. We appreciate you joining us here on Florida Live.
Good afternoon, Garrett. Thanks for having me. Today we're going to start in Bartow, where we have an update to a horrific murder in which a 19-year-old is accused of stabbing his 81-year-old roommate at a group home to death about a week and a half ago. Now, we are learning that the woman who ran this group home was operating it illegally and without a license. We're being told that after the murder, the city's code compliance discovered that it was being operated illegally and without a license. Now, Adrena Thornton, she was actually renting the home from a real estate company out of Texas. Now, that real estate company said it had no idea that Thornton was using the home illegally, and they said that they are in the process of evicting her. Now, the director of Code Compliance and Neighborhood Services, Terry Tolles, said that Thornton explained that the home was an independent living facility where residents lived as a community versus being cared for at an adult care facility. However, she did admit that 4 or 5 residents living there would come from hospital hospital, state agencies, and would be preferred by private mental health care entities. She was also charging these residents rent. Towell said that Thornton told him that she knew that 19-year-old Moses Ojeda, he's the one accused of stabbing his 81-year-old roommate to death. She said that she knew he had mental health issues and that he was on medication for them, but she felt at the time he wouldn't be a danger to residents who were living in that house. Now, Towles added that Ojeda was referred to Thornton by a mental health organization and that his mother made payment arrangements for him to stay at the house for at least a month. Now, Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd said that Ojeda's mother told the residents there that they need to hide the knives upon his arrival. Now, Towles told us that while Thornton was a little unprepared for that statement, it wasn't enough to keep Ojeda out of the house. It wasn't enough to deny him access, if you will. Now, Ojeda has been arrested and charged with first-degree murder. Now, the city's case is currently open, and they say it will remain in a pending status until there's evidence that this illegal group home is fully closed down. Now, we're told that Thornton does operate and actually lives at an adult family care home in the same neighborhood, which is properly licensed. Now, at this time, there is no criminal investigation into Thornton, but we're reached out to the state attorney general's office to see if they've opened an investigation. Garrett?
Quite an interesting development there, and an update on a case that's gotten a lot of attention. Nancy, secondly here, an assistant state attorney, someone used to prosecuting others for charges they face, now facing charges of his own.
Yes, that's right. We're told that the Hillsborough County State Attorney's Office has fired an assistant state attorney after he was arrested on child pornography charges. The Pinellas County Sheriff's Office says it began investigating William Jones last July after learning that files containing children engaged in sexual acts were being shared. Investigators interviewed Jones yesterday and said that he admitted to viewing and transmitting the files. Jones was hired by the Hillsborough County State Attorney's Office in October of 2021 after he served as an assistant state attorney with the First Judicial Circuit up in the Panhandle. Now, he does face 3 counts of possession of child pornography, 3 counts of transmission of child pornography, and 2 counts of transmission of harmful material to a minor. Upon his arrest, Hillsborough County State Attorney Susie Lopez issued a statement. In that statement, she said, "I am deeply disturbed and sickened by Andrew Jones's actions," and he was terminated from his position as an assistant state attorney immediately following his arrest. As prosecutors, our duty is to protect the public, especially our children, and there is no place in this office or the community for this kind of behavior. I want to thank law enforcement for their important work in identifying and arresting child predators. No one is above the law, and this office will never tolerate anyone who violates the trust of the people we serve. Garrett?
And finally, Nancy, we are just days away now from the start of hurricane season, but we're still talking about some homeowners in Sarasota County who can get some help for previous hurricane damage.
Yes, that's right. Those homeowners in Sarasota County who were affected by Hurricanes Ian, Debbie, Helene, and or Milton can now apply for the county's Resilient SRQ Housing Recovery Program. Now, that program offers help with repairing or rebuilding homes or reimbursing eligible out-of-pocket expenses. The U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development recently awarded Sarasota County a little more than $400 million through the Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery Program. Resilient SRQ first started the Housing Recovery Program in June of 2024 with $55 million to rehabilitate and reconstruct homes and to reimburse eligible homeowners who were affected by Hurricane Ian. Now, homeowners affected by last year's storms can start the application process by filling out a survey on resilientsrq.net. Now, they will be sent a full application if they qualify. Staff will come out and inspect their home, and if they are eligible, they'll get reimbursed for repairs done before applying, or a county contractor will be assigned to start the rehab and rebuilding process. Now, to qualify, you have to own the damaged home currently and at the time of the qualifying hurricane, and use the damaged home as your primary residence now and at the time of the storm. You also have to maintain a mortgage in good standing or be on a payment plan that's in good standing, and have a household income at or below 120% of Sarasota County's area median income. That's about $90,500 for one person and about $103,300 for two people. You can find the income breakdown on the program's website. Applications will be accepted as long as funding is available. Now, Sarasota County said that it has asked HUD for an additional $33.3 million for homeowners impacted by the 2024 storms. And those storms, of course, include Debbie, Helene, and Milton. Garrett.
Names that are far too familiar with us by now, and let's hope that is the extent of the damage as we get ready to enter another hurricane season.
Yes, it's definitely something none of us want to think about. Hurricane season, it does begin here in a few days, and we still have so many people who are still in the recovery process here in the Bay Area. So let's hope that this hurricane season is a quiet one.
All right, yes, Fox 13 digital content producer Nancy Gay, we appreciate you joining us for our Tampa Connection.
Thank you.
We're going to take a break and we'll be right back. Welcome back into Florida Live. Here's a live look at Daytona Beach from our Hard Rock Hotel camera. Going to be a nice weekend, or at least a couple nice days in there to be at the beach. It is the time of year where folks are thinking about the beach, spending time by the swimming pool, and really a necessity this time of year when you're talking about some of these temperatures that we deal with here in Florida. But we also know that tragically, Florida has among the highest drowning rates nationwide. And when you're specifically talking about children under the age of 5, statistics show that each year enough children under the age of 5 drown in Florida to fill several preschool classrooms. Heartbreaking numbers to hear, but work is being done to address that. A group of experts, advocates, and officials are forming a state plan to help prevent drowning deaths. There was a meeting yesterday at a community center in Eatonville where they started the process of creating a Florida water safety strategy. It's part of the U.S. National Water Safety Action Plan, which is a 10-year roadmap to prevent drowning deaths and reduce drowning deaths across the country. Joining me live now via Zoom is Megan Ferraro, the Executive Director of the ZAC Foundation and the Chair of the U.S. National Water Safety Action Plan. And Megan, we really appreciate you joining us this afternoon here on Florida Live.
Thanks for having me today, Garrett. I appreciate it.
First of all, just why is it so important to have plans, regulations in place, not just in Florida, but across the country, in order to kind of try to systematically reduce drowning deaths here?
So we know that drowning is the leading cause of unintentional death for children under the age of 4, and the second leading cause of death for children under the age of 14, all across the United States. We know that drownings happen not only in backyard residential pools, but in open bodies of water like rivers, lakes, the ocean, canals, and in disaster response and preparedness situations. So we need to teach children and parents all about water safety from the earliest of ages. And water safety looks like learning how to take swimming lessons, both children and adults, parents and caregivers taking CPR classes, learning how to give CPR at the time a water tragedy or an event may occur. We need to have, very important in Florida, barriers, 4-sided fences surrounding backyard swimming pools so that children can't just open that sliding glass door and walk right into a pool area. We need appropriate drains, VGB compliant, regulatory compliant drain covers that are safe and that children cannot become entrapped in. And when we're in open water, we need to be wearing devices like life jackets, Coast Guard approved life jackets, always swimming if you're at the beach in front of a lifeguard, never swimming alone. And parents, it is great to have lifeguards at pools and at the ocean, but they are not the first line of defense to prevent your child from drowning. You as the parent are. So that means no talking on the phone while your child is swimming, no drinking alcohol, really ensuring that you are in arm's reach of young children anytime they're around water. We
Megan,
also know.
Sorry, go right ahead. Complete your thought, please.
Sure. We know it takes a whole community to prevent a public health crisis like that we're facing right now, especially in Florida, where in 2024, 105 children drowned in Florida under the age of 5, the biggest number across the United States. And so we know that it takes not only educating parents, but also educating teachers and doctors and legislators about how important it is to ensure that Learn to Swim is an available resource, that it's an affordable resource, and that families can transport their children to swimming lessons.
And that's where these strategies, kind of come in, working to address this and reduce the drowning deaths. I know this meeting yesterday. If you could talk to us a little bit about what happened at the meeting yesterday. I know that they broke into a number of different working groups focusing on all kinds of different priorities, all kinds of different aspects of different angles of looking at this.
Yeah, so we're looking at developing strategies for things like swimming lessons. When should children be taking swimming lessons? What is the best ratio of number of children to instructors in a swimming lesson setting? How to increase the number of lifeguards that are available in a community? How to ensure that lifeguarding certification and training is easily accessible and available, which we know it is through our partners at the American Red Cross. We want to make sure that children and parents know that life jackets must be worn when children and adults are in open water. We want to ensure that parents and caregivers understand that CPR is an important resource that must be delivered anytime a drowning occurs. It increases the rate of survival significantly. And we're also having working groups that are focusing on first responder preparedness around 4-sided fencing, gates and latches and alarms leading out to pool areas. We want to make sure that not only are all these important layers of protection in place, but also that we're thinking about emerging trends like weather events that are causing flooding in communities, that are causing canals to be overfilled, that are creating unusual circumstances where people in Florida are drowning.
We're showing some video from the meetings yesterday. You can see a lot of different folks involved, a lot of different agencies and entities involved as well. You mentioned law enforcement, fire rescue, we know state representatives involved as well. Why is it so important to have that involvement and that buy-in from so many, have so many different people at the table as this discussion moves forward?
Right, and important to have a multitude of voices that are participating in the process, because we did have, county health officials, aquatics professionals, law enforcement, first responders, but we also had affected family members. So families who have lost a child or a family member to a drowning, like Sarah Perry, whose son Aiden drowned in 2022 while trying to rescue a driver. We want to make sure that the voices of those that are implementing the programming aligns with those that are making policies, that are making legislation, that are creating funding streams for children to be able to access swimming lessons. We know that these are an expensive, set of resources that families try to find the way to find funding for, but it's something that if we as a community come together, if we as a state try to find some funding within the state to provide lessons, that it's a really important layer of protection for children throughout the state of Florida.
Florida would be the fourth state to develop a plan under this U.S. National Water Safety Action Plan. Why is that so important, that it's not just at the national level, but also drilled down specifically to the state?
We know that prevention is local. We know that people listen to people in their communities. A parent wants to listen to their doctor, not a doctor, a pediatrician at a national level. They want to talk to their pediatrician. They want their pediatrician to assure them that swimming lessons are safe, that they're a critical resource. We want to make sure that swimming lessons feel accessible within a community, that there are swimming pools that are available in your community. You're not having to drive a far distance to ensure that your child has this important resource. We also know that water safety and drowning prevention strategies look different from state to state. I was involved in the California strategy, which was the first strategy that was published about exactly 2 years ago. That strategy in California looks very different than the strategy in Florida, which looks different from the strategy that was published in New Jersey, that's going to be published in Texas and in Hawaii. So it's important for each state to really do the work, to look at their data, to look at their challenges, and to look at their opportunities, because each state does have their own unique challenges, but they also have a unique set of resources. Florida is a state that loves its people, that loves to protect its people, and that takes child injury prevention very seriously. And so there's a lot of really important and critical stakeholders that can help us really dig into the issues and challenges in Florida and create some solutions.
What are some of those particular challenges in Florida? I would imagine just how widespread water is, lakes, all kinds of sources of water. I would imagine that has to be a big one.
Sure. So obviously you're surrounded by water on 3 sides in the state of Florida, but you also have, as you mentioned, lakes and rivers and many canals, as well as probably more backyard pools, certainly as many as, if not more than, Arizona and California. And you also have an increasing kind of real estate market where people are buying homes at an unprecedented rate. And those homes may have pools that are not up to code, that don't have those 4-sided fences to prevent a child from easily wandering into a pool. And so if you are a homeowner, if you have young children or grandchildren that are going to be visiting your home in Florida, make sure that your home has a 4-sided isolation fence, that you have a door alarm or a bell that will chime anytime a sliding glass door is opened. Really ensure that you have those layers of protection in place. It's important for children to learn how to swim. It's also important for adults to learn how to swim, and for those CPR lessons to be readily available in community centers all across the state of Florida.
Well, it's important work. Megan Ferraro, Executive Director of the Zach Foundation and the Chair of the U.S. National Water Safety Action Plan. We really appreciate you joining us this afternoon here on Florida Live.
Thanks for having me, and visit watersafetyplan.us to learn more about this National Water Safety Plan. And the Florida strategy will be available by the end of 2025, ready for implementation in 2026. We're really excited that Florida is a leader across the United States in this issue, and grateful to be here today. Thank you, Garrett.
All right, big steps forward, Megan. We appreciate your work. We're going to take a break here on Florida Live, and we'll be right back after this. Welcome back to Florida Live. I'm Garrett Weimer, and thanks for joining us on this Thursday afternoon, live on Fox Local and on YouTube. Senator Rick Scott was in Sanford today as he continues his tour around the state, trying to talk about hurricane preparedness ahead of the start of the hurricane season, which begins June 1st. That is coming up on this Sunday. He spoke in Seminole County earlier today, just north of Orlando, and talked about the impacts specifically of water, of flooding, and the importance of preparations even inland when you're not talking about coastal areas, because Seminole County or Orange County, some of these areas in Central Florida here, not coastal areas, but still can feel the impacts from these hurricanes. And so he specifically addressed that. Also was joined by Congressman Corey Mills and Randy Fine. Here's some of that news conference earlier today in Sanford.
We're not on the coast, so people say, "Oh gosh, we don't have to worry about hurricanes so much." But if you really look at these hurricanes, what's happened is they've really become big water events. And part of it, if you're on the coast, we're going to have storm surge. And the National Hurricane Service, National Weather Service, they're doing the best job they can. They're going to try to tell you the path. They're going to try to tell you the wind, and they do their best at doing it. And then they're trying to get better and better and better on the storm surge. But guess what? It's Mother Nature. But here's what we found. I mean, you look at these storms. We've had unbelievable flooding where people never thought we'd have flooding. I remember when I was governor, and even with I think it was Ian. So, these parts of the state, we had flooding that we never anticipated, and water's going to kill you. If you're on the coast, it's the storm surge can kill you. If you're inland, you drive into water, it's going to kill you. First off, I don't want to recognize my wife Ann, who actually had we live in Naples, where we have had 3 hurricanes. Bad one was Ian. The other 2 not quite as bad for us, a little bit further north, but we got bad storm surge in all of them. But she can tell you, because of what happened down in Naples area in Ian, I think she still has she still worries about anything like that, because she saw how bad it was down there. But so here's our goal. All of us are going to be here today, and we're going to try to get you to be prepared. There's a lot of websites, and I hope everybody that comes up will tell their website. But you need to follow your local evacuation zones, and you need to follow it. And you need to actually do it ahead of time. I can tell you what happened in our case. With Ian hit Collier County almost 3 years ago, by the time they did the local evacuation, you couldn't really leave because of the tornadoes. So if you think you might be in an evacuation zone soon, get the hell out. Don't take a chance. So 3 days of water, or 7 days of water, 7 days of food. But go to ready.gov, and everybody's going to have their websites. Follow them. Get a plan. Don't take a chance, and don't wait to go buy stuff, because it might be too late. Keep your cars full. I tried when I was governor, never run out of gas, and we were able to do that. But often we run out of gas. Make sure you make some friends, so you know someplace to go. Put your time into making some friends right now, so you have a place to go to. We're going to open up shelters. When I was governor, what we did, we opened up the shelters. National Guard was what opened up originally, but then the Red Cross really took over almost all of them. So we're going to try to make sure you have everything, but it's your job to get ready. So now let me turn it over to some other individuals that will give their message. And there's a separate message after it hits. Don't use those darn generators inside. If you don't know how to use a chainsaw, don't touch it. And if we have a lot of saturated land, we've lost people after these storms with trees falling. So we survived. My job as governor my goal was nobody die. Nobody die, and keep everybody alive, because you can always rebuild that house, but you just can't rebuild somebody's life.
It's an honor to be here today alongside my colleagues to talk about something that's vitally important to Floridians, which is hurricane preparedness. I cannot emphasize enough the critical nature of being ready for these powerful storms that can strike our state with little to no warning. We all know that hurricanes pose a significant threat to our state, and Florida has experienced numerous hurricane landfalls, and so something which we're accustomed to. With the peak seasons running from August to October, we need to be ready. Landfall too often in these peak seasons catch us off guard. So again, making sure we have all the necessary things to be ready for this preparedness. These storms can bring devastating winds, rainfall, and life-threatening storm surges, as we've witnessed in recent years. As Florida's 7th district, I have both coastal and inland, and I can tell you that the devastation of storm surge, especially with the St. Johns, doesn't stop just at the coast, doesn't just stop with beach erosion as we see in Daytona Shores or Ponce Inlet, but also looking at our lakes. And we saw what happened with Mullet and Lake Harnett, where we saw devastating floods that destroyed areas within Seminole County. We have to be prepared because the water is truly the biggest threat that we've seen. We watch with our high storm vehicles that comes in. We've watched where we've utilized helicopter, we've utilized swamp buggies, we've utilized airboats, anything possible to be able to get to them. But again, I can't reiterate how significant and how dangerous the standing and rising waters are.
I understand this personally, so I've been part of 2 personal home destructions. In 2004, my mom and dad's house was destroyed when those 4 hurricanes came through. One of them beat it up, and then a second one and a third, and by the time it was done, they had to strip the house down to the concrete blocks and completely rebuild. And then the second hurricane happened to me in 2016. While I was running for the Florida House a month before the election, my home ended up being destroyed by a hurricane. It wasn't one of those where it gets washed away, but I can tell you, once water gets inside, where we live in Florida with mold and everything else, it can be tough to recover. It was a 3-year fight in order to get things resolved in terms of our house. So I know what it is like to go through this personally. So I want to give people 3 pieces of advice. The first is you're going to get told buy 1,000 things for a hurricane. You know, go into debt, go get a credit card and buy everything imaginable. But what I have found the most important thing, and the things that really don't cost extra money, is extra food and extra water. When you go to Sam's, when you go to Publix, buy an extra case of water every time you go for the next few trips, and then you'll have enough water for when that storm comes. And when the storm season's over, you can drink it. The same thing, buy those extra cases of Chef Boyardee or whatever it is that you see, so you have the food that is available. You don't have to eat steak and lobster when the power goes out. The idea is to stay alive until it comes on. So make sure that you have enough food for a week. Number 1. Number 2 is, while you can, one of the biggest problems we have in hurricanes is people don't take adequate precautions. And the federal government offers highly subsidized flood insurance. It is highly subsidized. You are not paying the actual cost, the underwritten cost of getting that insurance. You can get up to $250,000 of structural insurance and $100,000 of contents insurance for a fraction of what it actually should cost if it was underwritten appropriately. In the case that your house is damaged, I experienced it. They are very quick about getting people money. So it is a choice to spend that few $100s now to have that federal flood insurance. And by the way, it's rated based on how likely you are to flood. So the less people go, I don't need it. My area is never going to flood. There's a lot of people in North Carolina who have learned a hard lesson about that. But if you're unexpected to flood, the premiums are even lower. And I really encourage everyone to go out and take a hard look at getting federal flood insurance. And then the third thing is this. We talk when there is a storm about evacuating. And somehow in our culture in Florida, evacuating meant drive to Georgia. It meant drive far, far away. And one of the things that I learned personally is we run away from the wind. We run away from the water. We hunker down for the wind. As you're making your plan, if you have to evacuate, you don't have to drive to Georgia. You just have to be out of the zone that you are in.
Sometimes just a few miles. We're going to take a break here on Florida Live, but we'll be right back.
tradition, tension, roars that remind our rivals they're not in Kansas anymore.
EA Sports, based right here in Orlando, dropping the trailer today for College Football 26, the highly anticipated follow-up to last year's college football video game, the first time we've had one in about a decade, and a lot of excitement about it, a lot of new features involved in this year's game as well. Earlier today on Fox 35 News Plus, I had the chance to speak with Rob Jones. He is the Senior Production Director for EA Sports College Football. We talked about some of those new features, and also how do you follow up to a game as how do you follow up with to the effort of a game that was so successful like EA Sports College Football 25?
Well, you know, it's a really exciting day for us. Obviously, we have a lot of media in here today. We're showing off all the things that the team has been working on the past year, and it's really exciting to get the reaction from the public. I was actually, as I was waiting for this, I was on Reddit trying to see what people were saying. But ultimately, it's just a culmination of a lot of hard work by a lot of team members who are incredibly passionate about college football and football in general here in Orlando.
Talk to us about what folks can expect. Maybe people who played the game last year. What are some new things that they can expect in this year's edition?
I think the big thing, you know, that we keep trying to drum into everyone is that we listen to our fans. So things like dynamic time of day, incredibly improved gameplay. We have physics-based tackling in there. There's like 3,000 new plays to really differentiate each college and the styles in which they play. We're bringing a recruiting high school portion to Road to Glory, which was a big ask from our fan base. And obviously our Dynasty mode, not only is it crossplay this year, which is amazing, but also has a lot of additions, a lot of things that were asked for, and then a lot of new things that we just wanted to bring to the public.
All about the realism. You talked about, you know, we talked before about the details that go into this, and there's so many details, and you're talking about, you know, the physics of some of these things, the real time, you know, time of day, all of those things. It really is amazing what you're able to do, and the realism you're able to bring to this game on these current platforms.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I've been doing this for a really, really long time, and it's come a really, really long way. But the expectations out there, you know, people want to feel like it's Saturday, right? You know, you can tell I'm a Michigan fan, a Michigan grad. I want it to feel just like my school, and we are doing everything we can to bring that excitement, that feeling of being at the stadium, while actually obviously controlling the players and the strategy and all those other things into your own living room through these consoles and these games that we make.
Rob, I've got to ask you, what are you personally most excited about?
You know what? Playing with all the different teams for me and you know, I'm a really big competitor. So obviously I'll play with my team more than any, but the variety of play that continues to like really drive the engagement across an entire year is amazing for me. So I'm really excited by, you know, everything that we've done this year, from how we're representing every school to the depth of play. But the biggest thing for me, obviously, this year is going to be the discovery of how different teams play and how I can use them to be the best player out there. So if for anyone that wants to challenge me, I can give you my gamer tag a little bit later.
All right, sounds like a plan. Rob, we have the covers up that were recently unveiled as well for the standard edition on the left. We got the deluxe edition on the right, and I got to say it's pretty cool being able to include now current players who are you know, on the roster.
Yeah, that's a big change. I mean, these two players that we chose this year, they're in their sophomore season. I mean, Ryan Williams was 17 last year as a freshman. I think Jeremiah Smith was probably the most dominant player in football if you really think about it. I mean, he was amazing. You know, the fact that he couldn't go pro last year is probably a shame, but I'm happy to have him on the cover. But also, like if you look at the deluxe, the fact that we bring in real coaches and their schemes and the way they think into the game, as well as all the other players and mascots. I mean, we were really painting that full picture for college football. I'm just really, really excited to really be able to show this to our fans and everyone else.
and a Tim Tebow sighting there as well.
Yes, he's in there. Like everybody sat there. Obviously people also are looking back and they were sitting there. There's the cadet back there, but having Tebow being part and representing us has been just awesome for us to work with.
So we talked about how highly anticipated this is. We know the reception the game got last year being so selling at a record pace. I mean, it was. Did you feel any pressure coming off of that success for this year's game to make it even better? Did you feel some of that pressure?
We do. I mean, obviously, when you do something that special, you're gonna sit there. But one of the things that we've always said, and I think the team kind of embodies that, is one, there's always more that we can do, but two, I always sit there and it's like, hey, get to the top is easy. Staying at the top is a little bit harder than that. And for us to try to do that and replicate it, obviously we lean into knowing what our players want and also our passion for the sport, our passion for the schools, our passion for everything that surrounds college football. So I'm just really proud of what they've been able to deliver this year, and hope that everybody gets to enjoy it and see it the way we see it.
And so the game releases July 10th, so not too much longer to wait. What should people know? What's the main message to fans who are itching to play this, myself included, in a little over a month or so?
Well, I can tell you this much, right? I think everything that was in the game last year is amped and way better than it was. But beyond that, and take it from somebody who can be skeptical a lot of times, once you play college football 26, there's no way you go back to college football 25. And that's really a tall order, right? For as much as people played this year's game, it's really saying something. Me personally, sitting here having worked on this for the last year, can sit there and tell you that.
Why is that? What do you think it is that really amps it up and kind of takes that to the next level?
Well, I think it's a combination of all the things. I think it's more accessible to a wider set of people. I think we've answered a lot of the questions that were posed between last year and this year, in terms of the depth that we wanted to bring, in terms of the quality of experience, the ease of use, the new things that you'll find both in gameplay. Your gameplay experience is just going to be night and day from last year. So there's a lot that we've done from that perspective. But ultimately, it's a full package. It's a full package that there's no way that you can't take the two side by side and go, you know what? This is a big step up, a big upgrade from last year's game.
So a lot to look forward to July 10th with the release of EA Sports College Football 26. Meanwhile, the Florida Panthers are heading back to the Stanley Cup Finals. They beat the Carolina Hurricanes 5-3 last night to clinch that trip. They were shut out in the first period, but they woke up after that, as I said, winning 5-3. Now, if Edmonton wins tonight in the Western Conference, the finals will begin June 4th. If Dallas forces a game six, then the finals wouldn't start until June 7th. So that means the Panthers could have 9 days off and really be well rested for another chance for a repeat. Here is what some of the Florida Panthers players had to say after last night's win.
Hell of a game, I think. They get a lead early on. I don't think we necessarily played that bad in the first, but they came with a heavy push, which we expected, and we felt like if we just got one in the second, that we'd have a good chance of coming back in this game. And great job closing it up.
And on your goal, how much did that feel? Just like wiping the slate clean, like you said, you guys were down, but then suddenly 2-2.
Yeah, it was a hell of a play by Benny. Chucky even before that getting it to me, and I thought from that goal on we took over, and just a solid road game from start to finish. Happy to close it up. Attaboy, Schmidt.
I remember in 1996, I know you don't, when this team won the Eastern Conference in Pittsburgh and sticks were flying, gloves going, everybody's going crazy. This was like a regular season when the way you celebrated and just went up to Bob. Is that proof that this is old hat for you guys? And the job's not done?
Yeah. I think going into this year, we kind of knew what the goal was, right? So, it's an accomplishment, winning the conference, but I think we all knew from day one what the goal was, and that's to win a Stanley Cup. And we got 4 more to go, and I think that's more the mentality that every guy in this room has.
Carter keeps doing this game winner, series clinchers. What can you say about how he comes up and
Yeah, just clutch gene, huh? Yeah, big goals at big times. It's kind of who he is. He can be, quieter for a game, and all it takes is one shot for him. And he had, a couple great looks on the power play, a handful of minutes before that, and then gets a great look, great play by Barkey, and seems like in those moments he always kind of finds a way to put it in the back of the net.
Where does that move by Barkov rank in ones you've seen up close?
Yeah, that was nice, huh? It speaks to who he is as a person. He's so even keeled, doesn't get too high, doesn't get too low, and just when games get intense and very emotional, he's able to play his game and just do the right things over and over again, and then his talent just shines. And just a great play, patience, puck protection, and the vision to kind of fend off a couple guys and find Swaggy on the back door is just all world, all class.
When you guys go down 2-0 in the first, a lot of teams might roll over at that point, but you guys come out, score 2 in 30 seconds. Just what's it about this team that you guys find those special moments and certain small gaps of time just to turn around a game?
Yeah, I think it's from experience. I think it started before I even got here, them going to the finals 2 years ago, and there's just a sense of composure, I think, within our group, and I don't think we...
Certainly a good reason for that. They've had the experience, 3 straight finals appearances now for the Florida Panthers, and a chance to repeat as champions. We'll see what happens here in just a few days when that starts. So I'll watch tonight and see how the Edmonton Oilers do against the Dallas Stars. That's going to do it for us here on Florida Live. We appreciate you joining us on this Thursday afternoon, live on Fox Local and on YouTube. We are here weekdays, Monday through Friday, 2 o'clock, with more Florida Live. So we will see you right back here tomorrow. Thanks for joining us. Have a great rest of your day.